Hi, I'm Holly. I am the founder and co-owner of Nova Ridge Bookkeeping, and I am your host today. So I founded Nova Ridge Bookkeeping about 5 years ago. Actually, it's like 5 years and 1 week. We celebrated our 5th birthday last week. And I started it with a passion to help business owners to understand their finances. As things evolved over the years, we have happily found our niche in supporting women in business to finally feel in control of their finances. Money doesn't have to be a scary thing, and that's really what I'm passionate about in sharing with all of our clients. So, what is Women in Business Monthly Growth Session? This monthly growth session came from a desire to support women even more. So, working directly with clients, I discovered that while being good at what they do and now having their financials in order from working with us, it really only is two pieces of the puzzle in creating a successful and sustainable business. I have connected with some fantastic professionals over the past few years, and I knew that if there was a way I could bring us all together in one place, we could create an awesome synergy to elevate our businesses to the next level. So my vision for this monthly growth session is to come together, learn together, and grow together. So it is time. Grab a drink, grab your lunch, grab a blanket. Awesome. Don't forget to grab your notepad because we have some awesome speakers today that you're going to want to make notes for. So today's speakers, we have Christine Miller from Empowered Mortgages. She is going to share mortgages for the self-employed. We're all self-employed and we all know how challenging it can be to get that mortgage when you're self-employed. And then we have Nikki Iskander. Hi, Nikki. And she is going to share with us the two main reasons why you're under earning. So like amazing. I'm so excited. In the spirit of networking, we are going to jump into our first networking breakout session. So in this session, I will get you to share your name, your business name, what it is you do, and what is your biggest goal for 2024? Did you meet someone new while you were there? Yeah, wonderful. And you learned their biggest goal for 2024? Fantastic. We have someone else joining us, just letting them in. All right, let's move into our first speaker presentation. So Christine and I met, actually, we're in a mastermind together. So we met 2 months ago, Christine, 3 months ago at a mastermind. And we actually chose, our group in the mastermind chose to continue our mastermind meeting. So we've now created this cool mastermind. We call it Mastermind 7 because there's 7 of us. So that's how Christine and I met. And let me introduce you to her. So Christine Miller with Empowered Mortgage is a mortgage broker who specializes in mortgage planning for self-employed individuals. As someone who is also self-employed, she understands the importance of planning ahead to make sure you set your business up to achieve all your goals, including your home ownership ones. Many business owners, new and experienced, make the same common mistakes when setting up their business and filing their taxes. That either creates obstacles during the mortgage process or creates additional paperwork requests. And who likes that? That'll create some more stress for you. And it's Christine's goal to help you be organized and ready to make the process as smooth as possible. I am excited to hear from Christine today.
Thanks so much, Holly. I'm just going to request to share my screen.
You sure can.
And let me make sure that the slideshow is starting. I have 3 screens, so forgive me if it looks like I'm looking somewhere else.
That's what happens when there's multiple screens, right? Like
yeah.
Here.
Okay, I want to share this one. Share.
You got it.
Okay. Can you guys all see that there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me move my presenter control over here. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about mortgage tips and strategies for self-employed homebuyers or homeowners, just because there is a lot of myths around it. So we're going to touch on a few things that are really important that'll make your life a lot easier when you are going through the mortgage process. And these are things that I wish everybody knew when they first entered the journey of being self-employed, because it would save a lot of headaches down the road. So first, I want to touch on bank accounts. Number one, always, 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 always have a separate bank account for your business expenses. It does not matter if you are self-employed or a sole proprietor or incorporated, it is imperative you have a separate bank account. There are different ways we're going to extrapolate income out of these bank statements for self-employed people. And if they're in your personal accounts and I have to weed through your groceries at Walmart and your kids' hockey fees and the shoes you bought for yourself online, it makes way more paperwork for you guys. Like, your bank statements to me are now like 8 or 9 pages per month, and I need 6 to 12 months sometimes versus 2 months because it's nice and clean and simple. It makes also your bookkeeper and your accountant's life so much easier for you to keep track of it. And if you do incorporate down the road, you can change it to a business account that you could get. I also want to talk about using QuickBooks, Square, Shopify, all of these sort of tracking programs that are available for people that are like service-based. So people that are having a lot of invoices and transactions back and forth. While these programs can be expensive, they do keep track of your invoices, who has paid, what's outstanding. It makes your reporting much easier because you can pull that report out. And on summer, all of them, Holly would be your expert on this, but your accountant and bookkeeper can have a login to keep track of it. So while you are spending money on the program, it actually probably will save you money in your bookkeeping and accounting fees because they can see what you're doing too. Also makes your process for a mortgage much easier because you can send me your report and I can correspond your invoices with your bank statements and prove that your money is legitimate. E-transfers. Now, I know that they're great because they cut down on business expenses because you're not paying credit card fees and they are fast. But there's a bunch of cons that we also need to be aware of when we're doing them too. Number one is they're not protected by a bank. They don't protect your client or yourself if they were ever to get intercepted or there was an issue. And there is increased in e-transfer scams and fraud happening. But the biggest thing for your mortgage is they can be a nightmare to track for income verification purposes. Depending on the bank that you bank with, the way your bank statements show don't give you any information on who sent you the e-transfer. I did put a sample up here and I redacted all of the personal information from a client. You can see this client banks at ATB Financial. They have a corporate account, but as you can see on the bank statement, all it says is e-transfer auto deposit. So in order for this client to be able to verify who has paid what amount, they have to click into every single line item on their online banking and look at the details. And for me on the mortgage front, I cannot prove that these are not money laundering from random people because I don't have an invoice that easily matches the bank statement to prove the transaction is legitimate. We do have to prove the source of down payment funds in order to comply with the Anti-Terrorist Financing and Money Laundering Acts. And this makes it a nightmare and will exponentially increase the amount of paperwork you need to send for your mortgage. Tax documents. I see this all the time, that people do not have their own tax documents. They pay their bookkeeper, they pay their accountant, and they think, I don't need to keep track of it. But it is so important that you have to keep a copy of your stuff. You have to keep a copy of your complete tax filing, your entire T1. And yes, that means all 35 to 60, I've seen up to 80 pages, depending on how many rental properties or income streams or whatever you have going on. I know it seems like overkill, but it is not. You need to keep an e-copy of your tax documents, and you need to keep your full T1s, your NOAs, your statement of account every time you pay off your statement with the CRA, any T4s, T4As, T5s, however you are paid, and your copy of your corporate financial statements, if applicable and you're incorporated. So many times I have clients that come to me and they don't have any of this. They put an offer on their house without having a pre-approval, and now their accountant's on vacation for 2 weeks and works from home self-employed, and we cannot make a finance condition because nobody has access to their stuff. You cannot actually get your full T1 from your online CRA account. That is a common myth that people think they don't need to keep it because you could get it online. You can only get your T1 summary. and you cannot actually get a full T4 or T4A. You can pull all the information, but it doesn't actually have your name on it. So I can't actually prove that it's yours. So I don't know why the CRA does that. I don't work for them, but it is completely useless for most purposes. There is a service that we can pay to get the T4s, the statement of account, and the NOAs if you don't have an online account, but there is no way we can get that full T1 without you getting it from your accountant. So what are we looking for on those tax documents? Because people ask me that all the time. Why is the summary not enough? On your T1s, we are looking for the portion of your income that is derived from each stream of business versus government benefits. So we've seen a lot of this in the last couple of years with the increase of CERB claims or EI, or if somebody was on mat leave. We need to actually be able to derive how much came from the business and how much came from other areas. Because when we're doing a sole proprietor income, a standard income for self-employed, what we're going to do is take a 2-year average. So if somebody was on mat leave for half of the first year, I need to actually not use that in the calculation and complete an income balancing the other way. I'm also looking for these exact 4 lines because it's going to tell me exactly how that income breaks down. But the most important thing that we need is the T2125, and that is your statement of business and professional activities. That shows us all of the write-offs that your accountant has used against your business. And we need that because when we're doing a self-employed income file, we can actually add back some in portion or all to the income. So let's say you claim $50,000, but you have $20,000 in expenses that we can add back. Now I can use $70,000 as income. But if you don't have your full T1, I can't see that and I can't add back your income. This right here is the biggest difference between going to a bank and going to a broker, because the bank is not going to do this. The bank is going to look at your line 150. That's the income they're going to use, and that's it. And that's where self-employed people get stuck on mortgages. You need to make sure that you keep your CRA account active. You can pull your notice of assessments, you can pull your child tax, and other government supports like child disability benefit. You can use all of those to support a mortgage. And those often with self-employed clients equal the most stable income that they have coming in, especially in the newer end of their business. So we need to be able to pull those statements. So keep it active, log in monthly to make sure you can pull your statement of account proving you don't owe the CRA money. And you need to make sure that you keep your kids' birth certificates somewhere that you can find them. Because if we are using those child tax benefits or child disability credits, we need to prove that the children are young enough that they will continue for the duration of the mortgage term that you're applying for. So typically 13 is the oldest that we can use them. Some lenders allow up to 15 years old. So we need to prove the birthday of the child. Now, the importance of a pre-approval, especially for self-employed clients. Most self-employed clients have no idea what they qualify for. I would imagine Holly experiences this a lot too. I have lots of self-employed people that call me and say, oh my gosh, Christine, I make $100,000 a year. And then you look at their bank statements and you're like, well, you made 55, so you don't make 100. And had you gone shopping thinking that you made 100, you would fall in love with a house that you can't afford. We also, again, want to look at the write-offs and see what we can add back. Now, the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. When you walk into one of the brick and mortar banks, they're going to give you a pre-qualification. They do not pre-approve a mortgage. No lender actually underwrites a mortgage because they don't want to pay their people to spend hours working on a file until they're sure they're going to get a deal that they might get paid on. Only a broker will actually underwrite a file. What does underwriting mean? It means I actually verified your down payment, your income history, looked through your tax documents to extrapolate income, and actually create a baseline for you. Pre-qualified means somebody has taken your word on the income and maybe hasn't even checked your documents or asked for them, but they likely haven't pulled credit or anything. I would say close to half of my self-employed clients come to me in this situation that they've gone to their bank, they've got what they thought was a pre-approval, which was a pre-qualification. They told them, oh, I make $100,000 a year. Then when they go and offer on the property, they get their T1s pulled and the line 150 says 58,000 and the bank says, oh, you don't make 100,000, you can't buy this house. It happens all the time. So a pre-approval means you need to send all the documents up front before you shop. And this is done for multiple reasons. Number one, we need it to calculate an accurate income, especially for a self-employed client. It hugely decreases the stress of the period between when you offer on a house to when you remove your finance condition and when you take possession, because you're going to be busy with house insurance quotes and house inspections and dealing with your realtor. And if you're doing renovations, potentially getting quotes and doing shopping. And you don't need me to be hounding you to send me a copy of your T1s because you've already sent them to me. So it just alleviates so much stress. Send them up front. And we don't want to be waiting on anyone. As in, you go offer on a house and now your accountant is away for 2 weeks and they're a one-person shop and now we have no access to them because you didn't keep a copy. Literally, I have a file that came to me yesterday that the accountant is gone for 2 weeks and we have a 10-day finance condition and we can't do it because we can't get the T1s because the client doesn't have them. So keep a copy and send your docs up front. And we can have a shorter financing condition period, which is important in a competitive market, which they're predicting spring 2024 is going to be again. If a property has multiple offers on it, the shorter the finance condition you can put, the more attractive your offer is. So sole proprietor versus incorporated changes the deductions that we can use to add back to income. Typically, it's a tax strategy when somebody would incorporate themselves versus stay a sole proprietor. But incorporated does mean there's a few extra documents that we need. So personal income versus earnings in a corporation. Personal income means you're going to pay personal tax on it, and that's what your line 150 is on your tax return. But your corporate tax is much less. So if a client is just pulling income from their corporation to put into their savings account, it doesn't always make sense because they're just paying personal tax to save it. So that's when the trigger is to kind of incorporate. And so you don't want to be pulling income just for the sake of qualifying for a mortgage if all you're doing is putting it into savings. It might actually be more advantageous to leave it in the corp. A good broker will tell you what you need to claim personally to qualify for the house that you want to buy. But a great broker will look at both angles and do the math for you, like claiming more personal income versus leaving it in the corp to save taxes and how the two different options weigh out for you, because the only thing that doesn't lie is the math. That brings us to here. So on the left side is your prime typical lending that we all think we want, and everybody gets hung up on the rate. So let's say this client wants to buy a $500,000 house. They have $100,000, so 20% to put down, and their interest rate would be 5.69% for a 3-year term. That rate is as of yesterday. So they want to borrow $400,000 for 25 years, which makes their mortgage payment about $2,500. At the end of the 3-year term, they've paid off $23,900. The income needed on your personal income to qualify for this mortgage would be $115,000 with no other debt. Now, with that $115,000, if you're paying into CPP and EI, you would pay $33,395 in taxes. If you are not paying into CPP and EI, which most self-employed people do not, or at least not completely, you're going to pay $25,886. So over the 3-year term, if you're not paying into CPP and EI, you would pay $77,658 to the CRA. With that income, then you would get child tax for $594.46 per month, which would equate to $21,000 for the 3-year term. Now let's say we go alt lending. And the benefits of going alt lending is we have extended debt ratios and more flexibility on what we can use for income. The rate is a little bit higher and people get hung up on that. So same scenario, same house, same down payment, same 3-year term, but your rate's going to be 6.74 as of yesterday. It brings your monthly payment up to $27.37, so not a massive difference every month. At the end of the 3 years, you would pay $20,733 on your mortgage, so a few thousand less, and you would pay $77,826 in interest. But in order to qualify for a mortgage in scenario B, you only need to claim $82,000 as personal income, which means your taxes, if you're not paying into CPP and EI, are $15,000 a year instead of $25,000, and over the 3 years are only $46,618 versus $77,000. Because you're also claiming a lower personal amount, you will then get more child tax or whatever other government benefits you're getting. So then your government child tax benefit would go up by about $6,000. And when you actually do the math for both different scenarios, it is actually better for you to go with an alternative lender and pay a higher interest rate versus pay the money to the CRA in taxes. Even if you pay $256 or $251 more a month, you only pay off $3,000 less on your mortgage, which would be easy to just pay a lump sum payment of $3,000 and still be further ahead. You pay $12,000 more in interest, but you pay $30,000 less to the CRA and you receive $5,600 more in CCB. You are still ahead at the end of the 3-year term by $21,000 by taking a higher interest rate versus increasing your personal income like the bank would tell you to do if you walked into your branch and asked them how to qualify for the house you want. So when you are doing a mortgage for self-employed, it's never too early to talk to your broker. Ask, say, I want to buy a house in a year or two, and ask, I want a strategy. What makes more sense? This is what I could pull. This is what I want to buy, and we'll work out the numbers. Claiming a personal higher income is not always the best option for multiple reasons. You need to make an informed decision, especially as a self-employed person. You need to remember that knowledge is power, and you need to please, please, please remember to keep your documents organized. And that's the end of my slides. So you guys can ask all the questions you have.
That was amazing. That was everything I needed to know.
Oh, good.
Everything I was wondering about.
I'm so glad it's helpful. When I run into self-employed people, it's like, I feel like I yammer on about this, but like really when you break down the math, it just doesn't lie. Like people need to relax about the rate and you need to look at it from all aspects because you could just literally add that $21,000 back to your mortgage balance at the end of the 3 years and pay more off your mortgage, even though you paid a higher interest rate.
I love that, Christine. That was so helpful. As a self-employed person, this is definitely what I feel like we need to hear. We need to see this, right? Instead of just doing what everybody says you should do, go to the bank and just put up with what they say you should do. There's actually alternatives out there. So that's fantastic. If anybody has a question for Christine, just unmute yourself and ask them. And I have a question. So top 3 things, if self-employed individuals, top 3 things, what could they do like today to set themselves up for achieving the goal of getting a mortgage?
Literally from day one, keep a separate bank account. There's nothing worse than people that have multiple transfers between multiple accounts, especially if it's between business and personal and you don't know what's what. It is a nightmare. And I hear from people all the time, oh, this is my business. And I talked to 5 brokers and they all told me I couldn't buy a house or they wouldn't take my file. Like as a broker, nobody wants to work harder to make the same amount of money. Nobody wants to spend 15 hours on a mortgage that I could take an easier one that I'm going to do in 3 and get paid the exact same amount of money. However, I play the long game and I realize that self-employed people, when they have other self-employed friends and they talk about how difficult a mortgage is, the self-employed person that I helped get a mortgage is going to say, oh my gosh, you need to talk to Christine. People who have a salary job and they make $100,000 a year and it's guaranteed and they don't have any debt, it's easy. Anybody can, like literally a monkey can get that mortgage done. It is not complicated. And so they do not tell their friends, you need to call this person because they made it so easy, because the reality is it was easy. So I just think that I have to spend way less money in advertising and networking if I build a business based on self-employed people, because they are so much more likely to consistently come for advice and refer their friends and family.
I think you just solved the marketing problem for me too.
Yeah, right?
Look at that, helping all around. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Christine. I've popped her contact information in the chat box, so please save her website, her email. There's her Facebook pages there, so please reach out to Christine if you have any other mortgage questions. I know I will be doing the same.
Thanks so much for having me, Holly.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna pop into our second networking breakout session, and this room, I want you to share your name, your business name, because you might be in a room with different people this time. Your name, your business name, what it is you do, and one person that you need to connect with to reach your goals this year. So you shared your goals in the first session. In this session, maybe there's like, hey, I need to connect with this person this year. Maybe the person in your room is that person you need to connect with, or maybe they know the person you need to connect with. So I'm going to recreate the room so you will be in rooms with new people. Fantastic. You met some new people in your room this time? Yes, connected with maybe some others that will help you to achieve your goals? All right, for our second feature speaker today, Nikki and I met, well, actually, we've never met in real life. I heard Nikki speak on a podcast that I listened to, so two massage therapists and a microphone, maybe like a year ago, Nikki, a year and a half ago. And Nikki shared some of her story, but then she also shared that she was learning Spanish. And I was like, I'm learning Spanish too. And so I messaged her on Instagram, have been following her story ever since. Nikki's like an avid Spanish learner. I don't know. You're like super dedicated, Nikki. I don't think I'm that dedicated, but hey,
I still can't carry on a conversation though.
hey, you're learning, and that's what matters. You're trying. So Nikki Iskander is a massage therapist in Toronto, Ontario. She runs a body positive home practice where her cats greet her clients at the door. Nikki, Emma just loves that. I knew Emma would love that touch. Nikki earns 6 figures while working part-time, and she's on a mission to close the gender pay gap, one massage at a time. She aims to be an example of what's possible to other women. Her official slogan is, "You look like you need a massage." Well, her unofficial slogan is, "You will never hear the pan flute in my treatment room." So she prefers Otis Redding to spa music. Thank you so much for being here today, Nikki.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Should be all yours.
Okay, so I'm also going to try to share my screen, and if it looks like I'm reading, that's because I am. I wrote this speech for the Canadian Massage Conference back in the fall, and then I've edited it for these purposes. So let me share screen.
You got it.
Okay, is everything functioning? Okay. Okay, so thank you for having me. I'm Nikki. I'm a massage therapist in Toronto. I've been called a massage celebrity, which basically just means that if you're a massage therapist, you've probably heard of me, mostly because of that podcast that Holly mentioned. I'm a regular guest on a podcast that has international reach. Why? Why am I a celebrity? It's because I'm opinionated and I'm vocal. And it's because I talk about a lot of the things that most people, or most massage therapists at least, won't talk about. So money, sexism, and safety. Massage therapy can actually be a dangerous job if not done properly. That's me. That's my graduation photo. And today I'm here to talk about every massage therapist's favorite topic. And by the way, this is relevant not just to massage therapists, but I think all women-dominated professions. So hairstyling, makeup artistry. I know Coral here is a doula. This goes to all women, basically. But I did write this speech specifically for massage therapists. But I want to talk about my favorite topic, which is money. I make 6 figures essentially working part-time, which is basically unheard of in my industry. I work 4 days a week, 9 months a year. That's a 3-day weekend every weekend and 3 months of vacation. And for those keeping count, that means I take more days off in a year than I work. And what do I do with all that time off? Well, last year I traveled to 7 countries. So this is me kind of kicking it all around the world. Why am I telling you all this? Is it because I want you to like me? No. Bragging is a terrible way to make new friends. It's because I didn't know this kind of life was possible for people in my profession, and I want to be an example of what's possible. And if I knew this was possible, I would have aimed higher sooner. So, the way I see it, there are 2 main reasons why massage therapists and other healthcare providers and other service providers don't earn enough money. Reason number 1 is you think you can't. Reason number 2, which is worse, you think you shouldn't. And I have about 10 minutes today to try to convince you that neither is true. So, reason number one, you think you can't. The year was 2013. I attended an information night at a famous massage therapy school. It's famous if you're a massage therapist. If you're not a massage therapist, you don't know this school. The director of admissions told me that the average income for a massage therapist in Ontario was around $60,000 a year. And sadly, I don't think that number has increased much since. And then he said, if you want to make $100,000, you have to run a clinic. And I believed him. I mean, he was the expert and he wasn't lying. He thought that this was true. And so I thought, well, I definitely want to make six figures. So I guess that means I have to run a clinic. So I enrolled in school, I studied my butt off, I graduated as valedictorian, and I got to work. And I met clinic owners, lots of clinic owners who were working 80 hours a week just to break even. Their businesses weren't profitable. So then I thought, okay, maybe instead of running a clinic, I can try to do this on my own. I didn't have any role models. I didn't see any examples of people making six figures working solo. But I tried and I did the math and I worked it out. Fast forward to now. In 2021 and 2022, during a global pandemic, strangers came to my house and gave me $250,000. And I'm not even doing anything illegal. It's just me in my home with my two hands. I don't have staff. I don't sell products. I don't even take tips. I just give massages. And the reason why I'm telling you all this, the reason why I'm so vocal about my income is because I didn't think this kind of life was possible. And what's worse is I was told it couldn't be done. And the best part is I'm not alone. I have friends who do it too. And you don't even need to be self-employed. You can make six figures as a massage therapist working for someone else when you know where to look. Most people did not become massage therapists for the money. I did. I chose massage therapy because of job security. I came from the music industry, which was a ton of fun, but there was no job security, no upward mobility, and it was rife with sexism. I figured if I became a massage therapist, I'd have something everyone wants and it's free. And for the first time in my life, I would be rewarded for being a woman instead of punished. If you're a massage therapist, especially in Ontario and other parts of Canada where massage is covered by insurance, you are a walking gold mine. Not even a global pandemic could shut us down. We were essential workers. We were indestructible and we're in demand, but we sure don't act like it. So this is the part of my speech that gets dramatic and it has way more impact when it's delivered in person. But if you're watching from home on your computer or if you're watching the replay, I ask you to please just play along with me. I'm going to ask everyone to please stand up if you can. Get up. I mean it. Thank you.
I'm wearing sweatpants. I hope you can't see
Love
it.
it. That's great. So am I. If you are queer, if you're a member of the LGBTQ plus community and you're comfortable with people knowing that about you, please sit down. Thank you. If you're disabled or if you have an invisible illness, and if you're comfortable with people knowing that about you, please sit down.
And you double
If
sit.
you're a person of color, if you're a visible minority, Black, Indigenous, Asian, Middle Eastern like me, please sit down. And lastly, if you're a woman or if you were socialized as a woman, please sit down. If for some reason there are straight white men watching this replay, they should be the only ones standing. And don't worry, I'm not out to get you. I'm a feminist, but not an angry one. But if you're sitting down, which is everyone on this call, and probably everyone watching, the world was not built for you, but this speech is. This is for all the people living on the margins, but especially the women, which is 80% of massage therapists and probably 100% of doulas. For your whole life, you have been taught to play small, wait your turn, be meek, be polite, be likable, be nurturing, be compassionate toward other people, not yourself. Bend over backwards to please other people, even people you don't know or like. Put everyone else's needs before your own. Be helpful at your own expense. And of course, make sure you're skinny and pretty and don't forget to smile. Reason number 2, why you're not earning enough money. You think you shouldn't earn more. This one's more insidious. This one disguises itself. It sounds like, I just want to help people. I went overtime on his massage because he really needed the work. She canceled on short notice and I didn't charge her because it's not her fault her kid got sick. I don't want people to think I'm greedy. I think massage should be affordable to everyone. I don't want to exploit people. I don't want to take advantage of people. I don't want to punish my loyal regulars by raising my rates. You can't raise your rates during a pandemic. You can't raise your rates during a recession. Everyone is struggling. It's not about the money. When women talk about money, the primary emotions are fear, guilt, and shame. Shaming ourselves and shaming other people. There is so much girl on girl hate out there. And I know this because I'm on the receiving end of a lot of it. And if you have said one or more of those statements, either out loud or to yourself, you have starving healer syndrome. And because diagnosis is out of my scope of practice, instead, I will say you are presenting with the signs and symptoms that are consistent with starving healer syndrome. The bad news is it's highly contagious. It spreads rapidly through your bank account and through the bank accounts of everyone you talk to. And the good news is it's curable. I can't dismantle the patriarchy in one 10-minute speech, but I can plant a seed. I'm not asking you to overhaul your entire belief system. I'm asking you to consider a new one. Money comes from providing value. You can help people and make good money. And the best way to earn money is to get really good at helping people. You can make good money and serve the underprivileged. Okay, lawyers do this. They charge $400 an hour to their high-end clientele, and then they do pro bono work. And for anyone who thinks it can't be done, I hope I've shown you that it can. I'm living proof, and I'm not alone. I'm not the richest massage therapist out there. I'm just the loudest. And for anyone who thinks you shouldn't earn more, I'm here to give you permission to strive for more. The world gets better when women make more money. The world gets safer when women make more money. When women run companies, when women run banks, when women are placed in positions of leadership, when women make laws. This is normally where I would point to my uterus. And this isn't my opinion, this has been studied. But no one's going to hand it to us. We have to go out and get it for ourselves. We need to raise our rates if we're self-employed, and we need to negotiate our salaries if we're not. Men do this all the time. The gender pay gap won't close itself. It's up to us to demand more. And if a financially healthy career is something you want, you can have that and you should. And despite all the hatred and the criticism and the name calling and the bullying and the vitriol that I've received mostly from other women, I will never stop fighting for you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Thank you for inviting us to your TED Talk.
So this is sorry to interrupt. This is my contact information. I'm active on Instagram and Facebook. That's my website if anyone's in Toronto and they want to book a massage, or if you know a woman in Toronto who wants to book a massage. And if you know a massage therapist, I have a course. It's called Make Money as a Massage Therapist, and it could be found at the link in this slide, conedinstitute.com/money.
I love that. Thank you so much, Nikki. I also shared her contact information in the group chat, so you can just copy and paste it, and then you'll have it. Click the link. It'll take you right to her Instagram. And I love following you on Instagram, Nikki. You're so active and so positive, and literally you need to get on top of a mountain and scream this speech 100 times. It is
Thank
so
you for
good.
giving me this platform. I really just want the message to get out to more people. Like, yeah, I'm selling a course, but the bigger message is I just want women to want more for themselves.
Mhm, mhm. Absolutely. So if anybody has a question for Nikki, we have a couple of minutes here for Q&A, so unmute yourself and ask her. You mentioned that it's your mission to close the gender pay gap. I'm wondering what that looks like in your work as a massage therapist. So massage therapy is a female-dominated industry. And how do you, what does that look like in your practice?
So I am priced on the higher end. I do charge premium pricing, and I don't think I'm expensive. I think everybody else is cheap. So because I know I see how massage therapists live. A lot of them are paycheck to paycheck. And I know it doesn't compute for a lot of people. Like, how can somebody charge $100 plus per hour and be broke? But first of all, half the money I bring in goes to taxes and business expenses. And also, massage therapists, we get paid for hands-on hours. So we might work a 40-hour week, but 15 to 20 of that is the paid hours. So I don't make, I charge $170 an hour, but I don't make $170 per working hour.
Right.
It's per hands-on hour. So yeah, so how I do that is I charge enough to make 100,000 plus. Which I think is just the first step. A lot of people don't do that. I made sure to get really business savvy, which is a skill that can be learned, but it's a skill that doesn't come naturally to most people. And then I hire women to help me with my business. So I like giving my money to other women. That's another way that I help with closing the gender pay gap, that all things being equal, if it's between a man and a woman, I'm going to choose a woman every time. So my business coach is a woman, my photographer is a woman, my web designer is a woman. I've taken copywriting training from women. I'm constantly investing in my business by giving money to other women-owned businesses.
I love that. That's wonderful. That's the premise of this, is come together, learn together, and grow together. And what can we do as women? We can all grow together. Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
to not look for a bargain too. That's another thing. Like, I see a lot of people like, oh, where can I get a haircut that won't break the bank? And then in my mind, I think, well, most hairstylists are women. So I don't want to get a cheap haircut because that means that she's under earning. Like, I want to give my hairstylist a lot of money because I want my hairstylist to thrive because she's a woman.
I was talking about that. I went on vacation last week and I was with a couple of hairdressers and also a tattoo artist who were talking about how their services are kind of luxury services. And, and I was saying, well, I actually paid my hairdresser more because I knew she was undercharging me before I went on that trip. And, I had budgeted for a proper haircut and color and everything. And she's like, oh, $60. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that your time and your product and the amount of product, and she corrected something for me because I went a little bananas and did something to my own hair one night. Anyways, I really resonated with a lot you said, Nikki, and you're very inspirational to me. I've been watching your page for a very long time, and I just really wanted to come and see what you had to say today. And I'd love to attend more of these, as I feel that in the beginning of my career, for like my first 3 clients, I was doing that starving healers syndrome. And then I'm like, hey, no, my business is worth it. I'm worth the money that I'm being paid. And I recently actually just signed on to my first full paying client. And I'm like such a smidgen of for like my graduation and everything like that, just a smidgen away. And I liked what you said about hiring other women. So I'm going to go out of my way to make sure that when I'm going to do my website or do anything that I need help with in my business, that I will actually go out of my way to make sure that they're a person of minority or, you know, a woman or stuff like that. So thanks so much.
I love that. Thanks for joining.
Mhm.
And congratulations on your full price client. That's exciting. First of many.
That's so exciting. Good job, Coral. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. Is it only my screen being shared right now, or can you also see Nikki's screen?
I can stop sharing if you want.
We can see Nikki's.
I have to jump out and run and get my daughter from school, but
Okay.
I'll put my information in the chat if anybody wants to follow me on my Instagram journey. I'm
Sure.
in the process of setting everything up right now. So thanks everyone. I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks, Coral. And it is exactly, well, it's 1 o'clock in Alberta. It's 3 o'clock if you're in Ontario, but it is exactly 1 hour. Thank you all so much for being here today. It really is special to me when I can bring a group of ladies together and we can all learn from one another and then, of course, grow our businesses. Next session is March 7th. So here's the QR code. You can scan it directly from your phone. I am actually speaking next month. So it'll be the first time that I'm speaking on this series. I am excited to bring you all kinds of bookkeeping tips, all of the, you know, the exciting things. Maybe I can make bookkeeping as fun as Christine has made mortgages, Emma.
I don't know if it's fun, but math is good.
That is
doesn't-
good.
Yeah, it never lies.
And then I'm still filling that second speaker slot for next month. So if you're looking for some more guidance on your bookkeeping and the financial side of your business, please tune in. Networking with all of these fantastic ladies is also a huge benefit for showing up to the event. And on that note, I hope you have a beautiful afternoon.